In the Middle East of the Israeli regime's attacks on the Gaza Strip, which has resulted in the martyrdom of more than 33,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians, several Western countries continue to export arms to the Israeli regime. A growing number of humanitarian organizations, UN agencies and EU officials have called on these countries to stop supplying arms to the regime. We would like to take a look at the countries that have continued to send arms to the Israeli regime despite increasing calls for a ceasefire. Number 8. United Arab Emirates. It is said that this country has loaned some of its fighters to this regime, but the United Arab Emirates government denies it. Number 7. Turkey. Although the fuel and food supply from Turkey to Israel was not stopped during the Gaza war, the authorities of Turkey and the Republic of Azerbaijan rejected military aid to Israel, but there is evidence that Turkey sent ammunition to Israel during the Gaza war. The existence of the Turkish government has said that these materials were only gunpowder for use in fireworks that it sent to Israel. Number 6. Canada. Since the Al-Aqsa storm on October 7, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has issued at least $21 million in new authorizations for military exports to the Israeli regime. According to a lawsuit filed in March by Canadian Lawyers for International Law, Palestinian Authority Al-Haq and 4 others, the value of such permits exceeds the amount allowed last year. The Trudeau government has been criticized for continuing to sell weapons to the Israeli regime. Activists and human rights groups have accused the government of exploiting regulatory loopholes to export military equipment to Tel Aviv despite laws that prohibit arms exports to foreign actors if there is a risk of them being used in human rights abuses. The Canadian Parliament declared these grants illegal in May 2024. Number 5. France. According to the data of the French Ministry of Defense, Paris has sold more than $226 million of military equipment to the Israeli regime in the last 10 years. French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu said that the country provides more military support to Israel. There are growing calls in France to end arms support to the Israeli regime. Members of the left-wing party called on French President Emmanuel Macron to stop arms sales to Tel Aviv and provide transparency on what is being sold. Number 4. Australia. Australia's ABC News reported in January that the Australian government was deliberately going slow in responding to arms requests from Tel Aviv as concerns grew over rising civilian casualties in Gaza. According to the Australian Ministry of Defence, Canberra has issued 350 military export licenses to the Israeli regime since 2017, including 52 this year alone. The information was only made public after direct questions from Shoebridge in Senate hearings last year. Number 3. The United Kingdom. Human Rights Watch reported in December 2023 that Britain had authorized at least $594 million in military exports to Tel Aviv since 2015. These exports included airplanes, missiles, tanks, technology, and ammunition. Between 2018 and 2022, the UK made $186 million in arms sales through export licenses on a case-by-case basis. Number 2. Germany. Nearly 28% of Israel's military exports are from Germany. From November 2023, the German government approved the export of $323 million worth of equipment to this regime, including tools for defense and communication systems. While Germany has largely approved the shipment of armored vehicles and protective equipment for soldiers to the regime, a report in Spiegel magazine in January said the government was considering and planning to approve a shipment of sensitive tank ammunition requested by Tel Aviv. In the first few weeks after the start of the attacks on Gaza, Germany approved 185 requests for additional export licenses related to the supply of arms from the Israeli regime. By giving a like and subscribing the channel, you are helping an independent analytical media to continue its journey. And the number 1 is the United States of America. Washington's active military sales to Tel Aviv in October 2023 were $23.8 billion. Since Israel began its offensive against Gaza, the United States has sold another $253.5 million in weapons to the regime, including more than 5,000 2,000-pound -84 Malawian Quachas bombs, according to the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. has reportedly sold more than 100 types of weapons, including thousands of bombs, to the regime since the start of the Gaza war, but these deliveries have been without congressional oversight because each deal was below the dollar amount that required approval. The United States provides about $3.8 billion annually in military and missile defense systems to the Israeli regime. In February, a bill to provide $17.6 billion in additional military aid to the regime was unveiled in the U.S. House of Representatives. The House of Representatives, with a majority of Republicans, had previously approved $14.3 billion in military aid to Tel Aviv.